just as part of this week's crop report, I thought I'd give a bit of an update in the field. So today and yesterday we started harvesting our first of our A.G. Pearce carrots. So prior to now we've been running on other growers' material, third sort of contracted material. And the reason we do that is because there are certain growers in the country that will always get the earliest crops, and then what we do is grow a polycrop to follow on behind that. So we're actually here today, Sholdham. Our factory is just over the other side of this forest, so we're only a couple of miles away from our factory. But this is land owned by A.G. Pearce. We own a small farm and we're able to grow on it this year. We've got to remember the rotation on carrots is about 1 in 6 years, so we don't get to grow on this land that often, so it's quite nice this year that we're growing here. So Jeremy's busy in the background harvesting away, so I just thought I'd give you a bit of an overview of what we do for those that have never seen harvesting. So we run along the beds with a topper that takes the crown off. So we take the green top and also the crown, so the top of the carrot off, because everything that we're doing is all for processing. And then the harvester will go along and harvest the beds. This field's a little bit tricky in places. You can see the undulation in the background, and it's more pronounced when you see it from the tractor. And one of the challenges that we have is, as the field undulates, you can't always perfectly top every carrot, so we always have to feed into the factory the levels of untop we're seeing, and then the guys in the factory can deal with that on the initial grading. Just sort of goes to show that unfortunately we don't all grow on snooker tables, and there is always variance in growing, but it's all perfectly manageable within the factory. And the good thing is we can see it from the tractor straight away, and we can see the carrots going up the harvester with the top still on, so we can see it and react to it in the factory prior to them coming into us. Walked up from the field just into the yard on our farm. So this machine behind us is a pre-cleaner. So what we do is all the tractors come in off the field. Obviously on where we're growing here, it's based on our farm, so it's nice and easy. Where we're growing on other land around here, we'll bring carrots back to here. And what we do is we tip them up off the tractor, and then we run them across a load of scrolls and webs to essentially take out soil. The reason we do that is what we don't want to be doing is bringing loads of soil or stone into our factory. So we try and remove as much as we can sort of in field, and then what we do is we load them into these 28-ton bulkers, tipper bulkers, ready to be loaded into our sort of intake at the factory. But we can have a look at some crop. I've just stopped the machinery so that we can actually see some of what we've been harvesting. As you can see, size-wise, it's not huge. We're not really seeing a large percentage of any 40 plus in here at all. So for battens and large carrots, a bit of a challenge. But from all the digs that we've done on this field, everything looks really good. The main defects, like I said, we're seeing are things like fanging and denatured carrots, but also we're seeing very low levels of cavity spot, maybe running at 1 to 2%. But overall, defects-wise, it's really low, which is what we'd expect to see, to be honest, from this sort of land and this time of year. Also notice on some of the carrots, there's some hairiness. So this sort of hairiness is actually a good sign of growing stress. So where crops obviously were put through the ringer a little bit with dry weather earlier on in the summer, it causes them to become quite stressed, particularly polycrops, because like I said, we're forcing them to grow. And what the carrot does is basically send out multiple taproots looking for water. Now we've got really good access to irrigation on this farm. We've got a spring-fed reservoir pretty much next to the field that we're on, and all the land that we've got around here has got really good access to water. But one of the challenges that we have is just getting enough on, particularly during these really dry spells. If you've got no natural rainfall like we had at the start of the summer, we do suffer quite hard. However, the recent rains have been very welcome, so subsequent crops won't be as badly affected and are not showing the signs of stress that these carrots are. In terms of the hairiness and in terms of processing wise, this will all come off in our first washing intake stage, so this wouldn't even get through to the peelers. So it's not a defect from a sort of end product point of view, it's just a sign of some growing difficulties through the carrot's life. A bit of an overview of our very first crops. In next week, I'm going to try and put together a video showing some of the subsequent fields. We've got 2 more sort of fairly large fields like this one of poly carrots, so carrots that were grown under polythene, and then what we do is move into what we call our first earlies, which are grown not under polythene, so we call them open ground carrots. We'd let the carrots grow naturally, and they seem to be growing really, really well and responding to these conditions. So I think what we're going to see in the next couple of weeks is really good growth and some increases in sizing. But like I said, the challenge we've got at the moment mainly is, especially on some of these earlier drilled crops and earlier harvested crops, that haven't really been able to take advantage of the recent good weather to make those bigger sizes. But generally, from a carrot point of view, it started off as a tricky season. It's now looking like we've got some far better conditions, but when you take both into account, it's probably what we'd call an average year. One's cancelling out the other in some respects. So we're not expecting a massive stellar year, but at the same time, we're not looking at a year like last year, because we're having a mix of temperatures, whereas last year it just remained dry all through the summer, and then we had heat waves and extreme temperatures like 40 degrees around about this time in August, this time last year, which really destroyed the crops in some places. As ever, any questions, please give me a shout. My email will be on attached to this. So yeah, please send me an email or give me a call if you've got my mobile, and ask me any questions at all. Take care and have a good day.